Orbea recently launched new versions of the Gain, their e-road bike, and they have made loads of changes. So in this video, I'm going to show you the bike and tell you what it's all about. But wait, there's more, because one lucky person is also going to have the chance of winning the top spec version of this bike. To find out how, you have to carry on watching to the end of this video. So first things first, what is this new bike all about? Well, Orbea say they've designed a bike which feels natural and unobtrusive to ride. And it's not an e-bike designed for the rider to sit back and let the bike do all of the work. The rider and the bike should be working seamlessly together to create what Orbea say is maximal excitement, which sounds pretty good to me. So let's get this thing out of the box and see what it's all about. So this bike here is the range-topping M10i. You've got Orbea's premium OMR carbon frame, finished in matte gold, with Shimano 9200 12-speed semi-wireless group set, hydraulic braking, and Orbea's own spec 42mm deep carbon fiber wheels, as well as, of course, the X20 motor and 350 watt-hour battery. I mean, it's quite the bit of kit. The Carbon M range uses the Marley X20 motor and a 350 watt-hour battery, whereas the Alloy D line uses the Marley X35 motor and a 250 watt-hour battery. Now, there are 3 different levels of assistance for each of the bikes, and of course, depending on which level of assistance you use, the range is going to vary accordingly. In terms of the colours and the standard options you've got to choose from, the M lineup has 2 standard options to choose from, the D range has 3 standard options to choose from. But there is, of course, Orbea's Myo customization program, where you can choose custom spec and custom paint for your bike as well. In fact, the bike that's available to be won is going to be a custom Myo build. Details on that are going to follow towards the end of this video. Anyway, right, back to some of these updates. So in terms of geometry, there have been tweaks made to the geometry of the Carbon range, whereas the Alloy range remains unchanged from last year. The updates to the Carbon frame are that the chainstays are now 5mm shorter, the bottom bracket sits 2mm lower, and then up front on the bike, the stack, the reach, and the trail are all tweaked for individual sizes, of which there are now 6, ranging from extra small all the way up to extra, extra large. The geometry is something which Orbea are calling Pure Road, and they say it offers a balance of comfort, performance, and control, rather than just feeling like you have a dedicated race bike or a cruisy weekend bike. While Orbea are saying this bike is designed for the road, they also say it's capable on gravel too. So you've got clearance for up to 35mm wide tyres, and in terms of both the Carbon and Alloy version of the bike, there is an option to spec it with gravel tyres and a 1x gravel group set. Now, in terms of the features which are apparent throughout all of the different ranges of the bikes, well, you've got integrated front and rear lights with automatic sensors to turn the lights on and off. You've got integrated cable routing, a hidden seat post clamp, and a control junction box on the top tube, which is going to indicate what level of assistance you have and how much battery power is remaining. The main goals Orbea set out to achieve, as I mentioned at the start of this video, is to make this bike feel natural and unobtrusive to ride. Now, to achieve this, they've worked directly with Marley to customize and tweak the firmware which controls how the hub motor delivers its power, to make it as smooth and linear as possible across the 3 different levels of assistance. Now, it's optimized for a cadence of between 75 and 95 RPM, and the speed that you're going to receive assistance at, well, it's going to vary depending on the country that you live in, but here in the UK, e-bikes are limited to 25 kilometers an hour. Above that speed, well, you're on your own. By customizing the firmware and fitting a larger battery in the Carbon version, you've got some pretty impressive figures when it comes to the range. Now, what Orbea have done here, instead of quoting the range in terms of kilometers or miles of assistance that you're going to receive, they've done something a bit different. They're quoting this in meters of elevation assistance. And I guess it kind of makes sense, really, seeing as it's when you're cycling uphill that when you're going to have the greatest demand on the motor. Figures quoted from Orbea say that for a 70 kilogram rider riding on setting level of assistance 1, you can expect 4,000 meters of elevation assistance. Move to setting number 2, you can expect 3,000 meters, and on its maximum assistance level, 1,500 meters. Now, that's from one single charge, and that's some pretty impressive numbers. And the level of assistance settings, well, they relate to having 40% of the motor power, 70%, and 100% of the motor power. Now, if you move on to the alloy version of the bike, it has ever so slightly smaller capacity battery, so the 250 watt hour, and the X35 motor. And the levels of assistance which you can expect from that bike are 2,800 meters, 2,100 meters, and 1,000 meters of elevation, respectively. And helping to achieve that is the fact that the range topping version weighs in at just 11.5 kilograms. But to put 4,000 meters of elevation into perspective and give you some sort of context, well, it's in line with some of the toughest stages of a Grand Tour. And then if somehow you still desire more assistance from your e-bike, well, Orbea's answer to that is the range extending battery with 171 watt hours of assistance, which equates to around 1,900 meters of assistance. Now, in terms of some of the details on the motor itself, the X20 motor in the carbon bike has 55 Newton meters of torque, and the X35 motor in the alloy bike has 40 Newton meters of torque. And that is a lot of numbers to remember, but what Orbea is saying is that on the carbon range, all of these changes have added up to giving you a 50% improvement in the range and the assistance which you can expect. Once you have climbs to your heart's content and you're perhaps blasting down a descent or blasting along a flat section of road and the motor isn't in use, you're going to have a near drag-free system, allowing you to focus on having as much fun as you can and all of your efforts driving the bike forwards. And then if you're perhaps a bit like me and a real tech nerd and love a deep dive into all the data and details, the top tube control box has ANT+ and Bluetooth connectivity, meaning you can connect it to Marley's Pulsar 1 computer, your bike computer, or your phone to give you all of the details and data that you desire. And then in addition to that, the bike now has E-shifters on the tops of the handlebars, which means you can change the levels of assistance without even needing to take your hands off of the handlebars, which is great for safety. So what does a bike like this cost, I hear you ask? Well, prices start from £2,899 all the way up to £9,299 for the range topping model, which is what's actually able to be won. And I'll put prices up on screen for pounds and euros. So, on to the competition. So let me tell you some of the details for this. So there'll be a link in the description down below which will take you to our competition page where you've got two pretty simple jobs to do. Read and agree to the terms and conditions and then answer one simple question, of which I've already told you the answer to earlier on in this video. Now, the competition is open to everyone worldwide and will close on the 4th of March. I just wish I could enter. That is one hell of a prize to give away. So there you go. That is all of the details that you need to know about the new Orbea Gain E road bike. I wish you the best of luck in the competition, and why not let me know in the comments section down below what colour and spec you would go for if you were going to build and create your own custom Myo version. Right, I'm out of here, and I better let Hank and Manon know that the bike we've got is a small, it's in their size unfortunately. Right, see you later.